Imagine yourself alone in your room, the lights off, your phone resting on your table, and your heart beating steadily. And then, suddenly, without warning, it stops. Not at 85 years old. Not after retirement. Not after decades of planning. Tonight. In that instant when your consciousness detaches from your body, you are no longer an American, no longer Canadian, no longer atheist, no longer believer. You become what you truly are and always have been, a conscious soul. And it is precisely here that atheism reveals its most terrifying flaw. Not because God would punish mindlessly, but because if God exists, then denying him carries consequences no human has ever fully measured while still alive. Atheism teaches that everything is matter, that consciousness is a chemical illusion, that life has no ultimate purpose, that morality is a biological accident, and that death is a power-off switch. But no civilization in human history ever believed this. None. From the earliest humans to the most sophisticated ancient cultures, humanity instinctively knew that consciousness survives death. Not because religion invented the idea, but because the human spirit recognized something deeper. You are more than a body. And modern research, neurology, psychiatry, thousands of near-death experiences, identifies the same pattern. The conscious self survives. If consciousness survives, then atheism becomes the most dangerous gamble in human existence. Because if you take the risk of believing in God and you are wrong, you lose nothing. But if you take the risk of denying him and you are wrong, you lose everything. Atheism is not a neutral worldview. It is a refusal of the possibility that an infinitely greater intelligence created you, and every refusal, consciously or unconsciously, carries consequences. Even the greatest atheist minds eventually realize this. Anthony Flew, known as the world's most influential atheist philosopher, spent 50 years arguing against God. His debates shaped generations of students, professors, and public thinkers. But toward the end of his life, after decades of studying DNA, cosmology, and the mathematical structure of reality, he admitted publicly, "I must follow the evidence. There is an intelligence behind the universe." This was not a religious conversion. It was a surrender to logic. A man who had built an empire on denying God finally conceded that the universe is too complex, too precise, too intelligently structured to be the product of blind chaos. If Anthony Flew, one of the brightest minds in atheism, reached this conclusion, how can any ordinary person confidently say there is no God? Even Einstein, who rejected organized religion, spoke of a cosmic mind behind the laws of physics. Modern atheism is not science. It is an emotional position, a cultural mood, a philosophical comfort zone, and above all, a fragile gamble. Think about your consciousness for a moment, this invisible you that observes, analyzes, hopes, fears, decides. Where is it located? Neurologists have searched the brain for decades and never found the source of consciousness. They have never located the exact location where your self resides. That's because consciousness is not material. It has no weight, no shape, no chemical composition, and yet it is the only thing you are absolutely certain exists. When you say I, you are referring to something that transcends the physical. If your consciousness survives, which countless near-death testimonies suggest, then what you deny today will confront you tomorrow. These experiences consistently report the presence of an overwhelming being, an intelligence brighter than light itself, a presence that perceives everything, your thoughts, your intentions, your regrets, your truth. Whether you call it God or not, something awaits beyond. And this is where atheism becomes spiritually fatal. Atheism removes preparation. Imagine walking toward a court while pretending the court does not exist. Imagine living as if no action has consequences. Atheism sells comfort in this life at the price of unimaginable risk in the next. Even on pure logic, atheism collapses. How can nothing, absolute nothing, produce something? How can chaos produce order? How can unconscious matter produce conscious beings capable of moral judgment, love, sacrifice, and creativity? The universe is mathematically structured, physically balanced, and governed by laws that cannot emerge randomly. Order requires a mind, logic requires a source, morality requires a lawgiver. Yet the greatest danger is not intellectual error, it is pride. The belief that a human being on a tiny planet in a vast universe can declare, "There is no creator," as if you were the ultimate authority, as if reality must obey your disbelief, as if your finite perspective defines the infinite. Imagine the following moment. You die. You leave your body. Suddenly, everything you've ever done, said, or thought becomes visible. There is no hiding, no excuses, no clever arguments. You stand before a presence so overwhelming that all pride evaporates. And in that instant, you understand that your entire worldview was built on a refusal, refusing to consider the obvious signs all around you, your own consciousness, the order of the universe, the moral law written in your heart, the longing for meaning, justice, goodness, eternity. The ultimate danger is not death, everyone dies. The ultimate danger is discovering you have a soul, too late. If even the greatest atheist minds return to God at the end of their lives, then the real question is not, why believe? But why refuse? And what will you say if God asks you that question himself?